We are life and exist now.
What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about my new CZ Bren 2 MS and well, why I like it, I guess, right? So I'm definitely showing off in this video. I'm ecstatic about this gun, and I kind of wanted to just cover some things that I don't think I've seen in any other video out there. I've pretty much watched them all, especially while I was waiting for this to show up. You know, I watched basically every single video that's out there. If you search it and, you know, you try watching the videos, I've seen them all. All right, so let's talk about the Bren 2. So what is the Bren 2? All right, so first of all, it's a 5.56. They also make it in a 7.62. The 7.62 model, same round as the AK-47 type rifles fire. That has proprietary magazines. So if you have a bunch of AKs, or AK magazines, I should say, you can't use any of them in the 7.62 version. Kind of sucks, but you know, it just is what it is at this point. So I opted to get the 5.56 version. I have way more 7.62 ammo than I do 5.56 ammo, but I figured, you know, I have a ton of AR magazines, so, you know, whatever. Might as well just go with the 5.56 version. So here we have the 11-inch model. The 11-inch, it doesn't say 5.56 NATO on it anywhere. On the barrel, I've been looking. It's not really there. The only thing that I've been able to see so far is it says 223 right here. It's still chambered for 5.56, but I've even looked kind of all over here, and I really haven't seen any 5.56 markings. So it's kind of weird because on ARs, what I look for is the 5.56 NATO stamping on the barrel, the 1-in-7 twist. You know, I look for 5.56 usually is somewhere up on the receiver, and I haven't seen it anywhere on it. Not like that's a showstopper. It still works just fine with 5.56. I took it to the range just the other day and ran, I don't know, maybe. Trying to think, 90 rounds through it. It's not a lot, it's just a couple, but I took it out first time, just wanted to kind of get a feel for it, blast off some rounds. 90 rounds, they were all 5.56. I think 30 of them were the green tip steel core rounds, the penetrators. I forget exactly what they're called, but it's basically that's actually 5.56 NATO, the 62 grain steel core penetrator rounds. So whatever, 30 of them were that, zero issue. The rest of them were just regular, I don't remember the exact spec, M588 ball, I think it is. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. But the rest of it was just hot 5.56, and zero issues, zero feeding, zero, you know, no issues. The cool thing about that, though, about this pistol, and again, it's a pistol because it has a barrel that's under 16 inches, and it has a brace on it. This is a brace, not a stock. So technically it's not an SBR, it's a pistol. The cool thing about this is that in the state, well, in some states you have to really look at your laws, but if you have a concealed firearms license, most of the time that only applies to pistols. So you can't really carry a loaded rifle around concealed, but you can carry a concealed pistol around concealed. So technically this can ride right next to me in my car, locked and loaded, ready to go. In my state. Your state may vary, but in my state it's good to go. Cool thing about the sights is that when you get them, they actually come with the dots on the front, dots on the rear. Actually, I need to flip this so that you can see. See, so the big aperture has dots there. Now it's cool because they actually do glow. They're not tritium inserts. They're like a kind of like a paint. So they don't glow for very long, but they do kind of glow, and they're not very bright either. They're pretty dim. But it's kind of cool that the stocks that come with it, or the sights that come with it, stock kind of already have a little bit of a nighttime feature, or at least a low light feature, which is pretty cool. So you know what? Just to keep myself on track, I might as well let's go tip to butt. So it's going to come with this 3-prong flash hider, and it's a flash hider, not necessarily a muzzle brake. And flash hiders are good for your shorter barrel rifles or your shorter barrel firearms, because you have a lot of gas that doesn't necessarily get burnt up in the barrel, so you still get a pretty good amount of flash every once in a while. I've only shot this in daytime conditions, so I've never had a problem with flash, but I don't know, maybe one day I'll get it in low light and see how effective this really is. But as far as I know, the 3-prong flash hiders are pretty effective, especially the ones that kind of twist, and you see this kind of twists. Now the reason why it twists, if they were straight, you'd get like a ringing sound, but they twist, so that kind of takes out that ringing sound, which is kind of, I don't know. I guess it's a cool thing. I just don't like it either way, but whatever. Now we have a gas system here too. What you do is you press this little notch down here, and then you could turn your dial. So I forget exactly what the gas settings are. I'm sure it says it in the manual. I just keep it where it's at. I haven't had any problems with it, but I don't even want to say what they are because personally I forget. But there's a lot of other videos out there that cover that in length. I had a 516 SIG 516 not too long ago, and it was an AR with a gas system similar to this. So, that's how that was. I honestly don't know. I forget how this is. I just kind of leave it alone. But whatever, it works just fine with the ammo I used for it. Now the CZ, the Bren, I guess it was the Bren 1, or the Bren 2, not the Bren 2 MS. This is the MS, but the Bren 1 that came out. I guess 50 of them came into the U.S. or something like that not too long ago, before the Bren 2 MS came out. And that had like kind of a one-piece receiver, like all this was the same. And the MS came out, and this is actually a different part, so it's kind of it leaves the market open to be able to take this foregrip, if you will, off and kind of change it out. I saw one on the secondary market that was very similar to the original. The original looked a little bit different than this. I think whatever these are called were just kind of flat and flush. I think it had two what are they called? M-lock ports and maybe another one up here. So, kind of, to me it looked more aesthetically pleasing. And I don't really like exactly how this is. It works, it's not really that big of a deal, but I kind of wish that they just left that. But, whatever. Americans, we got to do aftermarket stuff, so that's kind of the reason that this kind of got all changed out. I like it for now. I'm not going to change it anytime soon, but eventually I'll try and find a different part that's closer to the original and throw that on. So on top, I put my I have a Veltor low profile light mount. I like these a lot because they're just low profile. You can't not like it. Some guys prefer some different stuff, but it's a quick detach. I could take it off anytime I want with very little issue. And the light I have on this, I always forget exactly what the light is. I'm pretty sure it's a stream light. There's the logo on it right there. But I have it kind of wrapped up in a little bit of electrical tape, so I can't really get into it to see exactly what it is. I want to say stream light. It's kind of what I use on all my rifles. It just works. They're great. I've never had a real issue with it. The reason I have electrical tape on there is just to get the fit a little tighter, because it's a little bit loose by itself, but once I put the electrical tape in there, it provides better surface area for the mount itself to bite into, and then I have like zero movement plus a little bit of cushion. So that's the reason for that. Now I've had this light for a long time. That's why it's looks a little bit beat up. I have another one too that I have on a duty rifle of mine, and the glass in the front, or the plastic, if you will, is like bashed out of there. I don't remember if it just came out in training or I was shooting one day and it fell out, but the light still works just fine without it. So these lights do pretty good. They have see if I can get it. They have like a high setting, and it's white LED light, which is great, but it has a high setting, and then if you double click it, it'll strobe, and then if you triple click it, it'll be a dimmer output of light, which is kind of cool. Maybe if you're out camping or something while walking around, and you want some light, it's good to get that little bit of light to make your batteries last a little longer, and you'll still be able to see stuff. And then of course, if you want that white light, it's great. It has that specific beam in the middle, but it also has a good amount of peripheral light that it can put out there. And that light, it throws pretty well. I'd say about 100 yards. And so I love the light. I wouldn't use anything else. The only thing that I would maybe want to change over to is maybe if they made that glass in the front or plastic, whatever it is, but make that just a little bit more durable, I would say. But otherwise, this light is great. I've had it for a long time, works just fine, never had any problems, so that's good. Let's talk about the charging handle. Some people, I hear a lot of bullshit about the charging handle, to be honest, and this one is non-reciprocating, so once you charge it, the charging handle stays there, so the bolt will recoil and all that, and the charging handle will not move. It also doubles as a forward assist. I guess if you do have the bolt gets kind of stuck up here, I guess when you bring it back, you can force it forward or something. I haven't used that yet. I haven't really dived into the whole thing. I haven't really been able to use it, to be honest. But that's only because I haven't had any problems. So I guess sooner or later, maybe I will have a problem. But personally, as far as forward assists go, they're great for like working the bolt. But also, if you have a round that just won't go in there, you're better off not forcing the round in there. You might have an obstruction in there or something like that. If you force that round in there, you might be doing some damage to your rifle. So just kick that round out of there and chamber the next one. Is my best advice. But you can flip it to either side. You could have it on that side, or you could put it on this side. And to see how to do that, there's other videos out there that'll show you how to do that. But a lot of people complain about the reciprocating bolt charging handle. I guess on the 805s, the CZ Bren's 805s, I think they were. Honestly, that's not a problem at all. Like I shoot a lot of AKs. I've always shot a lot of AKs. If it was a problem on the left side, okay, cool. Just throw it on the right side and run it like an AK. Like I do the reach under to charge it, and I guess you can go over the top too. But it's not a hard thing. I see a lot of people. As a matter of fact, this is the only video on YouTube or the internet in general where the charging handle's on this side that I know of. Everybody else wants it on that other side, and the reason why I have it on this side mainly is, number one, because I just run it like an AK, and number two, if I had it on the other side, it would interfere with my flashlight, with my tack light here. So I just figured, screw it, just throw it on the other side. And it's not exactly like an AK. If you're used to AKs and you do that, it might feel a little funky at first. But I want you to play with it for a little bit. It's going to be just fine. There's really no issue with it after you get used to getting the hook. So I have mine on that side because it's great. Now, the one problem you might have with it, and it's not really a problem, it's just kind of getting used to, is if you have a round chambered and then you pull your charging handle back, it's a little funky pulling the charging handle back and taking the round out at the same time, but That's only if you want to look professional and not drop your round. If you want to drop your round, it's fine. It comes right out. It's no big deal. I just like to grab my round, eject the round in my hand. So that's a little something to get used to with the charging handle on this side, but still not a big deal. It's, not an issue. So moving back, 30 round magazines in my state. They're legal. It's just a standard 30 round magazine, nothing really special. Magpul. Right now I just have, your regular 5.56 FMJs all loaded up in there. 55 grainers, like I said, nothing special. I also have some defense rounds, the soft points. They're somewhere, probably in my duty rifle at the moment. This is not my duty rifle. But whatever. Regular 55 grain FMJs do a pretty good job as well. So, let's see here. Moving back, the trigger. The trigger's actually a plastic trigger, but I will say it is the smoothest, nicest trigger. Even I've had Timony triggers, ALG triggers installed in like ARs and whatnot, trying to get a nice smooth trigger. And not that those triggers aren't good. They're pretty good. I mean, my duty rifle has a ALG trigger in it. But I mean, for a stock trigger, this is a beautiful trigger. I honestly, like, people that say different, I don't know what they're talking about. I really don't. I've seen a couple of videos where, people have, I don't know, not the best thing to say about the trigger. I think it's great. It resets great. It breaks great. It's light. I mean, it's really light. I mean, if you if you get this rifle or this pistol and the first time you squeeze the trigger, you're going to be like, wow. Even the action is smooth as all hell. Like, sometimes when you rack the action without a magazine in, it's typically always smooth. But even with a magazine in it, it's actually still really smooth, charging it and whatnot. So that's kind of very, very impressive. So moving back on it, I talked about the trigger being plastic. It's just the actual trigger that's plastic. The actual sear inside and the hammer and all that, that's all metal and, good to go there, but whatever. So you have your magazine release right here. You also have this goofy shit inside of here. I'm not a big fan of that. Basically, if you were to, bring the charging handle back and you press up on this, you could lock the bolt back. And then to release the bolt, you could just press down like that and the bolt would go forward. I could take it or leave it. I don't know. I always thought bad levers were really stupid. So this is kind of like that. So to me, it's just stupid, unnecessary. I mean, cool in a way, but also pretty dumb. Now, you also have, like, AR guys will recognize this. It's your ping pong paddle. So basically, if you brought your charging handle back and you press down on this, the bottom part, it would lock your bolt back, and then to release your bolt, you just press that. But also, you could just use your charging handle and release your bolt that way, just like an AK. Like, personally, I run this gun just like an AK, so it just kind of works that way for me. Now, the safety lever is ambidextrous. You have it on both sides. But one thing I'll say is I freaking hate ambidextrous stuff. Like, every safety on almost everything now is ambidextrous. And man, it's so freaking annoying. Like, you try and buy a 1911, it's got an ambidextrous safety on it. I guess basically all ARs, and I bought a Strybog and an MPX, and they all have ambidextrous safeties on them. And it just drives me up the wall. Like, if you're a righty, you don't need an ambidextrous safety. This is just my gripe, and I know I'm going to get a little bit bitchy about this and have that tone that turns some people off. But I gotta say, I fucking hate ambidextrous safeties. If you're a righty, you do not need an ambidextrous safety, and most of us are righties. If you're a lefty, you don't need an ambidextrous safety. Like, this shit should be aftermarket nonsense, basically. Like, I don't know. To me, it's just stupid. It's really stupid. I hate it. You know, this side will always get in the way. You know, even though this is a 45-degree safety lever, it doesn't go a full 90 degrees. It still kind of stays out of your way a little bit, but it's still hitting my trigger finger when I go and grip. You know, when I go and grip and, you know, I'm in there, it's still knocking off of my top knuckle here. And, you know, it's like, just you know, use it as an aftermarket part, you know. I don't get why it's, you know, whatever. Personally, I hate ambidextrous safeties. Now, flipping over to the other side, they're nubs. That's the thing I'm not crazy about, is it's like a nub. You know, it's workable, don't get me wrong, but it's pretty stiff. I guess at first, maybe it's just because it's new, it hasn't been worked in so well yet, but I play with it all the time. I've been probably flipped it 1,000 times back and forth by now. You know, and it is what it is. When I first got it, it was really tight. Now it's kind of loosened up a bit, but, you know, it's not a deal breaker. I still love this gun, but, you know, I feel like the safety lever on this side should be just a little bit longer, you know. It's like, it's just bobbed, it's short. I'm not crazy about it, but I think the charging handle should be a little bit, or not charging handle, the safety lever on this side should just be a little bit longer for righties, whatever. I think it'd be great. So, moving back, you know, rear sights, already talked about them. They have the they have the 2 dots. So we got dots. Okay, so that's all awesome. And while we're on sights, I actually have a primary 2X prism coming in the mail. I guess they're sold out and they won't really ship until September. So I got a while to wait and work on my irons until I get my prism showing up. But even that was, man, I think it was like 300 something bucks. But I just went with the 2X because I kind of like the philosophy of the 2X. I was going to get the 3X for the longest time. I wanted the 3X. But the problem with the 3X is the brightness. So I guess the 2Xs, when they came out, they have a brighter... So I got a little interrupted and totally forgot what I was talking about, so I'm just going to start over. The 2X basically has a brighter daytime setting than the 3X does. So I figured, you know what, screw it. Go with the 2X because, you know, primarily you're talking about an 11-inch barrel. It's not going to be a long distance sort of a thing. You know, and not only that, but 2X brings, you know, it takes 50 yards and makes it look like 25 yards. It takes 100 yards and makes it look like 50 yards. It takes 200 yards and makes it look like 100 yards. Takes 300 yards, makes it look like 150 yards. Takes 400 yards, makes it look like 200 yards. Takes 500 yards, it makes it look like 250 yards. So, you know, it's pretty good. You know, an X2, not too bad, not too bad. So, works for me. Now, moving back on the gun, well, let's talk about the pistol grip real quick. The cool thing about the pistol grip on this is, number one, stock-wise, it feels great. But I like how there's this like little cutout here to where I guess eventually, and they might already have them, there'd be a second, you know, aftermarket parts here to get different grip angles. Not necessarily angles, but different back straps. Now, one thing I'd be looking for is something that fills in this area right here. Like this area up here is real small. It almost feels like an AK, like a stock AK grip on it. I'm not a fan of that. I wish the whole thing was about as thick as this was going up, kind of like an MOE pistol grip for an AR. I think that'd be great. And I heard rumors, I don't know how true this is, but some videos have mentioned this, that I guess the next generation of Brens that are coming out are going to have a you know, pistol grip kind of like an AR style, so you can take these off and remove them and get a different kind of grip in there, which would be kind of cool. I guess we'll see how they do that in the future, if they're going to do that, but I think that'd be a good idea, especially for the American market. You know, so you could change these out and get them to something that you're more familiar with or just more comfortable for you or whatever. But stock-wise, these are actually pretty good. It has these, I don't want to call them necessarily serrations, maybe gnarling or whatever. stippling, whatever. But the grip on here is really good. You're not going to slip around on them for sure. It's pretty good quality stuff. So the biggest complaint I hear about the CZ is that the once you put a stock on it or a a brace, you get a lot of wiggle here. You get a lot of wiggle from this part right here because it's not on there very tight. I saw one video out there that was talking about putting set screws in here. I don't want to be mean, but that's retard advice. It doesn't do anything to immobilize this part right here. If you even put set screws in, all they do is press off of this pin here, and this pin is really just here to keep this, what do you call it? I'm trying to get a view on this lever here. This lever you need to pull so you can pull this part off of the gun. And this lever, this pin right here, just keeps the lever from moving all the way. So if I pop that, I'd be able to not just pull it to here, but I'd be able to pull it like here and be able to take that off. But the set screws, all they do is push off of those pins. They're not pushing off of the actual receiver, right? And the same thing goes, I guess, in here too, right by my thumb and here. So this guy's talking about, getting set screws and making your I guess back plate or whatever, stable. Complete nonsense. That's not what happened. I know that because I actually bought those set screws. Total waste of money. I should have never done it. But what I did do, some of you may notice it, maybe not, but what I did do is back here, there's a little plate that goes in here that's for a sling, so you can kind of put a hook sling on it. So what I did is I took that out. There's a screw already in here that holds that hook in, or that plate in there. So what I did is I put 2 washers in there. I tried to just do it with 1, but I needed 2. At first, actually, what I tried to do is put a washer in between the gap that the plate, or maybe in the back of it. But the screw isn't actually long enough to be able to do that. So I couldn't really tighten it up that way. So I had to take the plate completely out, and I had to put 2 washers in here. And then screw the screw back in and then adjust it so that the screw comes out just enough to obviously be tight, get these washers, pretty much crimp them together. But also the screw comes out and touches this part and pushes it that way. So that way, and it's not like bent or anything, the angle is just fine as you can see. But basically just to make contact with it so that this part doesn't wobble anymore. So this is solid right now. I think what CZ should absolutely do is get the tolerances of this part back here tighter so that this isn't wobbling all over the place. And not only that, but what's the make of them? I'm trying to think of the who the hell. HB Industries. HB Industries makes this brace here. They make different kinds of braces. I like the HK style. I actually want to get the HK style on here. It kind of looks like a, well, if you know the HK style, you know the HK style. If you don't, then whatever. I have it on my Strybog, and I love that. So I actually want to get that one on here, but because of COVID and all that, supply is slower and everything's just slower. So I guess they're trying to make them, but it's going to be a while before they release. But when they do, they should really touch up the what's it called? They should really touch up the tolerances in this part right here, and make that something that'll get in there and be stable. One thing they could also do is just make a new plate that's just, I don't know, a couple of millimeters thicker, and then that would put pressure on this part right here and make it so it wouldn't wobble around. There's a lot of play in here. Like a lot of guys, I've seen videos where some say it's terrible, some say it's not that bad. Personally, it's enough to notice. You know, it kind of reminds me of the old school M4 stocks. They'd be kind of wobbly. So it's good enough to do service, but it's also kind of like annoying. So like I said, what I did is I just, you know, I got something that contacted here and took the wobble out. So that's how I did it. I'm sure there's a bunch of different other ways, and I kind of just spitballed a couple of different ways. But, you know, any companies out there that are going to make aftermarket parts, they should definitely focus on this, especially if there's going to be a stock or a brace added to it. Because that, like I said, is just kind of annoying. But, yeah, the gun still functions just fine, even with this little modification I did. So I haven't had any issues with it at all. So when I put the brace on, I've seen some guys do this where they don't put an end cap on, they just put the castle nut on. You know, it's good to put an end cap on, basically because when you're screwing it in, there's a little divot here that goes into this part and kind of holds kind of everything in place while you screw. It's hard to describe. I really don't know how to articulate what I'm trying to say, but it's way easier and kind of, I don't know, just way easier, more structurally sound to get that end plate in there and your castle nut. So that is my CZ Bren 2 MS. I love this gun so much. I bought it for $16.80. That was the lowest price that I've seen, and it was pretty much the last one on the market when I bought it, which was, I mean, I guess there was a few of them on Gunbroker. Thing about Gunbroker is I tried signing up for it before. I guess they want like $2 a month or something like that. I forget exactly what it is, but you need to basically pay to belong to it. There's a couple on there, but I was like, you know what, screw that. I'm just going to look elsewhere. So other than Gunbroker, this was like the last one on the market anywhere. And I was freaking out because I really wanted one. And I kept emailing them. I'm like, if I give you like 500 down, can you just hold it for me until I can pay the rest? And it'll only take like a week or two max. And they're like, because of COVID, you got to buy the whole thing. We don't do that. I'm like, bullshit, because of COVID. That's just a fucking store policy. It's a good store policy to have because people can put money down and just totally forget about it and let it sit for years. You know, so like, I get it, but don't fucking blame COVID. It's a COVID thing. We can't take money down. Anyway, they shipped it out pretty quickly. I got it in. Actually, I was on vacation when it came in, so it was here before I could even get to it. So I have a local FFL guy who does. We do a lot of good work together. By that I mean I buy a lot of guns from him. Plus, he helps me sell stuff too. But that's it, guys. This is my new favorite gun. It's my new absolute. I just can't wait to get that 2X Prism on it. And with this magazine, it looks great. In the future, I'm kind of debating if I want to paint this green or not, like an OD green. I think that'd be pretty cool. But we'll see. I got a long while to go before before I'm going to paint it at all. I still have to wait for my optic to come in, primary arms. So I guess we'll see. I'll have fun with it for a while, and then who knows, maybe sooner or later I'll paint it. But I absolutely love this gun, and just wanted to show it off and talk about it and kill some time. So mission accomplished, right? Okay, that's all I got for you today. Stay safe, stay smart, and I'll talk to you all next time. Blue Line Patriot, signing out.